Guys, something has just been announced that is happening in 3 weeks from now that could literally change everything about crypto. And I'm not saying it's bullish or bearish, I'm saying that this will be the biggest event of the year. Well, we have the Ripple versus SEC lawsuit, I know, but this goes a layer deeper than that. Can you imagine how huge this is? I kind of don't want to spoil the surprise, but it's Gary Gensler having to testify in front of Congress. It has literally just been announced that he has to face Congress over his cryptocurrency policies. Finally! Gotta quickly note, they're a couple years late. But the chair of the Financial Services Committee said its primary focus would be setting the groundwork for crypto regulations in the United States. And this is all happening on April 19th. Officially April 18th. It just depends on where in the world you are, I guess. All right, now before you get completely overzealous, let me add one thing. This is official. It's been confirmed. He's going to testify or needs to testify in front of Congress. And they're saying that this is to put crypto regulations on the forefront. Wait a minute. Before we move on, guys, make sure you press that like button. Let's try to get to 1,000 likes again. If everybody watching this video just presses that button, we would instantly be at 10,000 likes. I know the majority of people won't, but please, you help out. That way we can get at least to 1,000. And what I'm afraid of here and why I tell people to calm down is who is going to be asking questions. I must add again, don't you guys think as well that this is actually fairly coincidental? You know, we have the end of the Ripple versus SEC lawsuit at the end of March, including obviously Gary Gensler. And then, some lawyers saying, it might take another couple of weeks, but then bam, in the middle of April, 2 weeks after this lawsuit was supposed to be finished, we have a Gary Gensler hearing about his policy towards crypto. Now, from that perspective, I'm thinking, ooh, right? We might not get some sort of settlement until after this hearing because they're going to kind of want to hear what he has to say about the situation. And I think that's a logical thing. Maybe that's also why the XRP price came back down today, because the people understand that Gary Gensler's words on the 18th of April are going to be very important to listen to. Maybe they're panicking, and so they decided to quickly call upon a hearing of the sort. Anyway, comment down below if you think this is a very big coincidence or not. Just comment it down below. Let's see what your thoughts are. I read every single comment, trust me. Let's be realistic here. If we take a look at the SEC and specifically Mr. Gensler's approach towards crypto over the past couple of months, and you can even say years, he's been a pretty big Debbie Downer, all right? We can easily say that. I think we would all agree on that. The problem is, though, who's going to be adequate enough within this organization here to ask the right questions to get him out of his comfort zone instead of answering the same thing, which is, are cryptocurrency securities? Might the question be. And there's going to say, well, some cryptocurrencies are what you call crypto securities or security tokens. And it depends on whether or not they have this proof of stake. Yada, yada, yada. I'm just worried that in a similar sense as the hearing that I just heard about Facebook a couple months ago, I believe already, and the one with TikTok, I believe last week, they're just not on that same level to answer the questions that really matter. And that's, again, another problem that we face where this cryptocurrency stuff, it's a pretty niche market. There are not that many people out there in Congress that know what to ask the man to get real answers. I think he's just going to be able to recite his thoughts over and over and over, which is going to make nobody happy except for the SEC. It's going to be interesting, though, because since we've seen the CFTC take a couple of jabs at crypto with, for example, going after Binance, and the SEC losing a couple of cases like we talked about in our previous video, I think from all those, they might, again, the Congress people, be able to get themselves a little bit more firing power. But let's quickly read this article. Oh yeah, and a little bit later, I'll talk more about what's going on with XRP, as there's a massive amount of fear. Many people have pointed out about an article saying the XRP price is going to be going down a lot. I think it is right here. Can a 35% pullback be avoided? That and more I'll talk about in this video as well. And a little fun fact, apparently Binance tried to hire Gary Gensler all the way back in 2018 for closer ties with US regulators. This is, again, before he actually worked at the SEC. This is when Mr. Jay Clayton was still at the reign. The United States Securities and Exchange Commission Chief Gary Gensler is set to testify before the House Financial Services Committee for the first time. In an interview, Representative Patrick McHenry, chairman of the Financial Services Committee, confirmed that the SEC chief would have to face questions on April 18th over his approach towards the crypto ecosystem. And in the tweet, it was said,
backstage, you made oversight of the SEC a very important part of your chairmanship. You said you'd bring in Gary Gensler, more regulatory regulatory, to have more overview than he has had in the past. We're hearing he's going to show up now in mid-April. Give us a preview.
April 18th.
Some news, folks.
This will be our first oversight hearing of the Securities and Exchange Commission. This will be about his rulemaking and his approach to digital assets. It'll be a large focus on general oversight of the Securities and Exchange Commission, but in terms of policy, a serious approach for us laying down what I hope to spend the next couple of months on, which is a regulatory sphere for digital assets. But he'll be there on April 18th, and glad that we finally are able to announce that and get that going. This will be the first of many regulatory hearings we have through the summer.
Something else that's interesting to note is the SEC's chief approach towards crypto has turned many heads over the years, with many Democratic Party members voicing their concern about his approach. Some in the crypto industry also believe the party's anti-crypto stance could be disastrous for its 2024 election campaign. And apparently Dennis Porter, the co-founder of Satoshi Action Fund, said that many pro-crypto and pro-Bitcoin Democrats are lining up to voice their opposition in the party's stance. And now at the bottom here, it basically says, hey, the CFTC and the SEC have been pushing quite a lot of different crypto firms, but the people have always highlighted that regulations would be decided by Congress, not individual agencies. And, well, we're finally making a step towards the right direction. Again, my major concern throughout all this is not that they don't have the right intentions, because I think everybody can see Mr. Gensler wants the throne for himself, at least allegedly, that's what it looks like, and that the logical path forward is to ask him questions about why he's going through with such interesting measures. But again, it takes a qualified individual to be able to ask those questions nicely. Where you actually get real feedback back instead of the same generic loop of, well, because the definition of a security. Again, I've watched this man speak for tens of hours. He's easy with them loopy loops, all right? Anyway, put that on top of your calendars, April 18th, and I'm not sure how these Congress hearings work in a sense of, do they get live streamed? If so, we're definitely going to be live streaming that on this channel, and the timing of this is also quite peculiar if you think about it, right? But I talked about that at the start of the video already. In the midst here, I'll quickly say, if you're still looking for a place to trade, make sure you check out the description down below as I have a link to Bybit, but there's also a couple of other cool links down there that you might want to check out. And again, press that like button. And now, two things to note. Can the XRP price come back down? Quick answer is yes. Even though XRP is fairly undervalued versus Bitcoin and versus Ethereum, you have to understand that I personally expect a pullback towards 50 cent with like a very high likelihood. Because even though we've got ourselves the daily close above the moving average, and right now in a couple of hours, we are probably going to confirm, again, being one of the most bullish things out there, I think a lot of this is based on partially Korean volumes. That's one thing I'm thinking. And it's also, I believe, partially fueled just by this FOMO of the lawsuit ending in the next couple of days. But as we get more and more info and time keeps passing and there's no sort of settlement, it might get a little pushback down. But, and this is the most important thing you have to understand, nobody knows about a settlement until it happens except for insiders. And from that perspective, there's still a very good chance there's going to be just excitement throughout this space where people just keep on buying. Again, over in Korea, what has just now happened, XRP price skyrockets against the Korean won as Korean XRP whale withdraws millions from Upbit. Apparently, in terms of trading volume on Upbit, XRP continues to hold the top spot with a 35% share of the $2 billion total. That being so, XRP's total turnover in Korea's largest crypto exchange stands at $700 million, nearly 4 times that of Bitcoin. It's doing extremely good over there, trading right now at 770 Korean won, up 30%-ish in 3 days. As obviously Korea works a little bit differently, as you need a Korean number, and specifically Korean bank account, to be able to trade on here. And the thing is, Korea is usually like the pumper. Like whenever Korea starts to go wild like this, it could kind of signal the end of a move, but also the start of one. What I mean with that is, back in 2017-18, Korea went heavy on the push, on the buys, and it started to kind of like propel XRP into a crazy territory of just FOMO and FOMO and FOMO, where it just towered up into some crazy high place. On the opposite side though, and this is important to note as well, when the price is so much higher on the Korean side of things, sometimes it causes a little bit of a shift in the universe, so to speak, and it just kind of crumbles everything down for the short term. All I'm trying to say is be worried of Korea's impact. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. But then again, the question was, can it come down 35%? And to that, the answer is, well, that's pretty unlikely depending on what happens. I mean, if Bitcoin comes down a lot, then yeah. But that would basically mean that XRP erases all the gains which it has gotten over the past week. Now, the reason I'm saying that's unlikely is because right now we're getting towards this level where people are expecting a settlement to happen, right? This is like the end date for most of these lawyers. As time progresses with logical deduction, unless we get some sort of negative feedback or results from the lawsuit, I think it's kind of going to stay above the 200 weekly moving average because, well, by logic, and please let me know if I'm wrong here, but the more time that passes, the closer and closer we're going to get to that, finishing of the lawsuit. So it's not really logical for people to sell it right now. I think right now what we're seeing, all right, is a lot of taking profit, as a lot of people bought at 20 cents and they're happy right now with these prices, sure. But I still think right now we're going to see that close above the 200 weekly moving average confirmed. And I do believe and I hope that bullish things are to come from here. As again, XRP is seriously undervalued still, and it's not really hit most of the major targets just quite yet, like for example versus Ethereum or even the one versus Bitcoin standing at 2200 Satoshi, right now trading at 1940. Anyway, I don't want to make this video too long. Two things I'll say again is make sure you press that like button and make sure you have the notification bell on. The notification bell being the most important part. If the Ripple lawsuit finishes, you need to be notified as soon as possible, right? Which is why I also recommend you guys to join my Telegram and Discord. Links are down below. And yeah, if you have the notification bell on, you're set and good. And that's about it. See ya.